Hello,
Hey.
Skywalkers. Thank you for joining us on this monumental episode here. What we're going to do is bring Dee Tails on in just a couple of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to talk some Willow and talk some Empire Strikes Back.
Classic Marvel Star Wars comics
Mhm.
version of that. We are super excited to have Dee Tails with us. Yay.
All right, so let's go ahead and record and we'll start our introduction.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, and you Skywalkers who are watching, go ahead and throw in some comments and we'll throw up your comments whenever we can.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sarah, you just let me know when we are ready.
Okay. So, let me just double check. Okay.
We are recording.
Yeah, we are recording. Okay. Ready to go.
And here we go. Joining us as we break down the second issue of the Empire Strikes Back adaptation is a very special guest. You saw him in The Force Awakens, Rogue One, The Last Jedi, Solo, A Star Wars Story, and he was featured as Falcon the Troll in the new Willow Disney Plus series.
And now here is creature, droid, and troll performer Dee Tails.
Hey, Dee!
How you doing? So much love.
Well,
and here he is, creature Dee Tails.
Now, I got to ask you about your name. I never asked you about that. Is that your official name, Dee Tails, or is D short for something?
That's my name. That's my name. DEETAILS.
It's very fun.
I thought maybe when you were a kid, you were very, very concerned with details. So the name just stuck with you. Hey, what's that kid's name? Call him Details. He's into details.
Or something they wanted to instill into me. You know, it's like I'd be more inclined to find out the finer details.
Very, very much. It's kind of like if your last name is Crentist, you got to be a dentist when you grow up. It's right there in the name. Well, it is so great to have you back on the show. It's been way, way too long.
It has since our hug in the park.
Yeah, what was that? October of 2018 was it that we finally all met in person?
Yeah.
Over at Griffith Park, and it was Halloween. It was Halloween,
yes.
2018, right. And we took you trick or treating for your very first time.
Yeah, I loved that. That was amazing.
That even made my highlights of 2018. Got to take details.
Oh man, it was one of my highlights as well as going to Disneyland with you.
Yes,
Small world after all, man. It's still cycling in my head.
Absolutely. Well, we want to give you a big congratulations for scoring the part of Falcon the Troll in the Willow episode Prisoners of Skellen. So can you, now that it's out there, what can you tell us about how you got the role and shooting that episode with, oh my gosh, some amazing stars?
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell you anything you want, man. It's just, thank you, first of all. And I knew they were filming it. They've been filming it for months. And when you haven't had that phone call early on, you can say, well, you know, I've missed this one, you know. And I wasn't quite sure what they were doing. I knew it was in Wales. Then randomly, my agent got in touch with Neil's CFX team and to find out if there was anything happening. Because
Neil Scanlon?
Yeah, Neil Scanlon, that beautiful family of a team, you know, got in touch with them because there was a lot of filming going on. And what came back was, oh, we were just talking about Dee, you know, and, you know, that kind of kept me going for a few weeks or whatever until they finally came back and said, we've got another project for Dee. It's not Star Wars related, but it's still Lucasfilm, it's still family. Would he be interested? And, you know, they had me at Lucasfilm.
It's Star Wars adjacent, really.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you know what, you know, the way that I've grown up appreciating Star Wars, and then more so the journey George Lucas had in creating the whole thing, from that tiny little thought in the back of his head. And to be a part of some of these amazing stories and this ongoing fairy tale of a saga. I as an actor, I step back and I'm like, well, my goal was never to be in Star Wars because I could never think of a role. I wasn't one of those kids that kind of looked at Han Solo and said, yeah, I want to be Han Solo, or Lando, and like, I want to be Lando, They already existed. They were right there, how could I? So it was always a distant thing. Like, I didn't know how I could be a part of it, maybe as a guard or stormtrooper or something. And the way that it's unfolded into this dream, which is also connected to everything they've inspired me by as a child. I wasn't just inspired and thinking, wow, at these movies like E.T. or even Star Wars when I got to see it after seeing the behind the scenes. It was all about the story content, which I later discovered connected me to all of these things through fairy tale. When George Lucas is talking about the hero's journey, yes, we see it in all kinds of movies like Captain America or Bourne or something like that, but it all stems from being inspired by these people, whether it be a prince, a princess, or a pauper, or a hunchback. It's how you're inspired in the morals of those stories. And I was read stories as a child, before I went to bed. I know that might sound weird to some people now because they just stick a DVD on for their kids, but when it's read to you and it's imparted to you, and when you don't understand something, your mother explains it to you, you kind of feel this understanding of morals and what you're learning through this journey of a story, which only increases as you get older. And yeah, that's how I got to understand Star Wars. I recognized the princess, I recognized the wizard and the farm boy and all that type of stuff. I recognized the villain, all those things. But then as a performer and as an actor, realizing that you're a part of a passion you had as a child, in terms of just I just love the fairy tales, and then you get to see them through Disney and their animations and things like that. And by some shape or form, in discovering what George Lucas was creating, it was almost like he was creating a universe for people like me who have these attachments that can actually be implemented in telling the story and being asked to tell the story with them. You can't put that into words. It's just,
I think you did that just so well right now. It's very interesting what you just said. You didn't really attach yourself to a character, but you attach yourself more to the story, and that was your introduction into storytelling and to Star Wars. I've never heard it from that point of view before.
And now I've been working with Lucasfilm on Star Wars, and then I've been working with them. I was asked to work with them on Willow. This is the backbone of what Lucasfilm was founded on, because it was created out of Star Wars. It's like you have that deep-seated layer down there, like onions, but you have this layer down there. But it's like, if you start off with the right moral fiber, you can only grow into a beautiful tree, right? So I sound like Yoda now, right? But that's what fairy tales are about, that family entertainment, and then I step back and I realize, no, it's never been about wanting to be in Star Wars. It's been about wanting to work for a company that have that ethic, that have told me, did you know you could do this? And I had to think, well, can I do creature performance? Yeah, I watch Jim Henson stuff. I love this, and then realize that I fit in.
Yeah,
that's where the magic is. And to have been asked by John Kasdan personally to be in this thing, like, I normally get cast out of Neil Scanlon's office. Never, any of these jobs I've had has never been through a casting agency, although they've been approached. But I've been fortunate enough to go through this aspect of my career this way. if I'd gone through a casting director, my face may have been on the screen, I may have said something, and that's it. The way that I'm in this universe right now is as multiple characters at any given one time, you know, in any one thing. So it's more fulfilling for me as a performer to be able to do that. And when I was asked to come in for a fitting to see what the skin suit was going to look like, and so on and so forth, they said, yeah, oh, did you know John asked for you right before we even started production? He said, make sure we have Dee. And so for 6 months, I was sitting there thinking, man, there's no work, man. There's no work, you know, only to find out that 6 months ago, it was already penciled in, providing I was available. And then I had FaceTime with John and Wendy Merkel, who's lovely, by the way, you know, and bless her, you know, it's like John was talking me up, saying, oh, we worked together on Solo, his Quaitol site, and we worked in the mines. Yeah, that's it, Dee, we're bringing you back to the mines, you know, and stuff like that.
You're being typecast.
Yeah, you know, I was wondering which Mother of Dragons he had planned to kick my butt this time. So it was that, and I was watching, and Wendy's face, like, this guy's gonna be a troll.
Now, who's Wendy?
Wendy Merkel. She's an executive producer. I think she produced Smallville and things like that, and Arrow, and or something. But you know, she's very, very important, but she was very, very sweet. And I was looking at her thinking, yeah, I can't imagine how they're going to make me look either, but yeah.
Now, John Kasdan,
okay.
John Kasdan, who created Willow, had said that he was tossing around ideas on the set of Solo with Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
Did you happen to overhear anything back then about
Willow? It was what do you call it? It was flowing through the grapevine, you know, but only as rumor, because you had Ron Howard on set. you had Warwick Davis on set. What else you gonna talk about? You know, so you knew that conversation was being had. You didn't quite know how. You know, the only heads up I had overheard while filming the computer office room scene with Quaitol site. You know, I think I've mentioned this before. The only thing I overheard was, oh yeah, we're planning on doing Kenobi.
Oh, okay, wow.
You know, and that was on Solo, right? So, and that was like, I got goosebumps right now. That was so huge, right? I was the only one sat there from CFX, like outside of that bubble, whatever. I was sat there by the monitors, invited there by Ron Howard, bless him, you know, and I hear this conversation he just has with these people that just walked in. I don't know who they were, producers, big studio people, I don't know. He says, oh yeah, we plan on doing Kenobi or whatever, and this is the guy who's going to direct it or something or whatever. And the only thing I remember doing was slowly getting up out of my little actor's chair, so calmly walking into the computer room, and who was there? Phil, who operates, forgetting his surname right now. Phil, who operates the face for Warwick normally in Star Wars, and Paul Casey, who's our movement coach. And I walked up to them nice and calmly, and they said, "Oh, what is it now, Dee?" I said, "Look, I've got to share something with you because it's too big, but we just have to keep it amongst ourselves because we've all signed NDAs, right? We've just got to keep it amongst yourself, but I need to offload this because this is just too big." Right? And I remember I said, yeah, the plan on doing Kenobi, I just heard. And their faces were just like, how do you always hear about these things, Dee? I don't know.
You
Wait, you're always
listen.
sitting there with a mask on,
Yeah.
so people don't even. It's like Anthony Daniels when you did see 3PO on Star Wars. People would just talk private things around him because they forgot there's a person inside there.
Yeah.
So you
That
just
was,
stood
if
really
that was
still.
the case, if that was the case, I could understand, right? But they had to legally, I think, unscrew the back of that thing to get me out regularly. So,
That's hilarious.
That's
Wow.
hilarious. That's funny. And did you see Willow back in the theaters in 1988?
no,
When did you first
no,
see
I
Willow?
saw it on TV. Saw it on TV because that wasn't long after Return of the Jedi.
It was
And
5 years afterwards.
yeah, at that point, it wasn't a big thing for my family to take me to the cinema. It only happened occasionally. So there were one or two movies that I did see in and around that time, but it wasn't anything Star Wars related. It may have been Disney or summer holidays going to see. What did we see? We saw Sleeping Beauty. We saw The Jungle Book, my favorite Disney movie. And things like that. Yeah, we saw things like that. So I didn't get to see those things until afterwards. So that came along with watching the behind the scenes to that and seeing Warwick Davis on that. And then it came on TV at some point in the 80s. And that's when I got to see this fairy tale. I'm like, oh, I recognize it. You know?
Well, I'm very interested in you had kind of mentioned your makeup and costume process for Willow. So like what was that like for your troll?
Oh wow. Wow.
Because you said you had tried on the skin suit, right?
Yeah, it's there, but it's still a fuzzy blur. And I think it's because of the hours we were doing. So when I first went to when I first went to Pinewood and saw the creature shop workshop where they were making the fur for all the other trolls and things like that, they told me that there was a clear, distinctive difference between Tom Wilton's troll, Saris, and who plays my brother, and mine, Falcon. And they said, "Oh, yours is just going to be whiter, and it's to do with drinking some stuff that kind of has made you evolve faster." And by that point, I don't think we'd even seen the script or anything. I was told that, yeah, he's more of the intelligent one, and I'm backing him up as his brother. And my mind just placed it as Pinky and the Brain. That's you know, there isn't so much of an animation context of Mice and Men other than with Sylvester the cat and his younger or older brother or something.
Yeah.
But I was kind of thinking there, you know, because of the humor and the tone of the movie. And so, yeah, they showed me a bust made by Martin Rezard, if I'm correct, sculpted by Martin Rezard, of Saris. And this bust is beautifully just preserved. It's Saris, you know, the template they were going to use for Tom's face and things like that, and the hair. It was quite a procedure. So I went in. You wear your what do you call it? Your active wear skin suit type stuff.
Your bodysuit?
Yeah, it's kind of like active wear, like
Yeah.
yeah. You know what I mean? Right?
Active wear, yeah.
Like exercise clothes.
Yeah.
So we got into some of those very flattering suits, and then then they showed me the hanger with my suit. You know, the hair's all there, it's white. They're talking about how they're going to add some more hair. You can see where the boils are happening. Unflattering, you know, but there's this it's like a body armor suit because there's a big chest plate put on that as well. So obviously when you see the troll, you see this chest, there's nothing separate, it's all one suit. And then the feet, we had troll feet. You know, it's hilarious. And yeah, had nails placed on top, but that were painted and things. But these people, to try and name them, is you know, Vanessa Bastin, who does the fabrication for all the Star Wars stuff that I worked on with her. was looking after the suits, as well as her team. And we had Grace McCuskey. I think that's how you say her name, second name, but we had Grace and Elvis working on my face every single day. And so we all have busts of our heads, natural heads, and our full body busts. And so then my head was there and this face was on there, and he didn't angry, he didn't mean, he just looked very, very serene, and I said, well, we're going to put these pieces on, and piece by piece it was all connected, so it wasn't like a peel off. I think the other trolls, the lower trolls, had peel on stick on faces just because of the numbers. It had to be very, very practical.
So your prosthetic was in multiple pieces.
Yeah, Tom and I were both that way, and the call time would vary between 3 and 4 in the morning.
Wow.
For a 4-hour procedure. And then you probably, you might have a rehearsal before lunch, and then you'll shoot in the afternoon or evening.
Wow.
Right?
That's a long day.
Yeah.
It's a long day, but when you're dressed up like that and there are people dressed around you, man, I just kept giggling half the time. And the other thing is that it was a troll boot camp that was designed for that whole episode, which we started off with about 15 local performers that were local to Wales that were going to join us. Excuse me. And the rest were people like myself and some other creature performers, Barbara and Nathan, Liam Cook, and was run by Derek Arnold, who was training us. So he's been involved with all, the projects since I think when the feature stopped. I think Derek Arnold came on as some movement coaching and took us through this procedure, and we had to be distinctive. So we couldn't be like Planet of the Apes. We didn't want any primate attributes in any of those movements.
Okay. Yeah, they were very, very different from the trolls we saw in the movie. Because in the movie they were more like primates, and here they got more of a sense of humor, which I really love the connection between you and Tom Wilton, who played your brother Cyrus. You said, and you guys played off each other so well. So was there any room for like improvising?
Oh hell yeah! Oh, yeah. But it's because of the Vermiscus, that stuff he keeps drinking, and that was designed for us by the crone, so that we could facilitate in doing her bidding, right? And so drinking that makes you more intelligent, and so that's where the evolution has come from the movie to them being more upright in the caves and strolling about, and then you get to Cyrus and I. And we are the alphas of the trolls.
Dang right you are.
I'm being quite generous when I call myself that, but I would never do that in the presence of Cyrus. But that was the whole thing about the look, and we didn't want to move like primates, didn't want to move like orcs. And we watched a lot of things, and we had 3 stages: 1, 2, and 3. 1 was very docile. 2 was just kind of, bordering on, in between stage of they're being calm, but just don't get in their way, and then the 3rd stage, which was raw, so, it was a week or a couple of weeks, I think, or a couple of months, I think, of troll boot camp. But yeah, on set, it was one of these things when we went for the read through with Philippa for the first time, and I just reunited with Erin.
Oh, Erin Kellerman, right?
Yeah,
who played Empress Nelson solo, and she was in the scene with you.
Yeah, so I have a very big heart for Erin, because I remember seeing her on set and I'm thinking, wow, this is her first Star Wars thing, and I could see it on her face thinking, wow, this is my first Star Wars thing, and then she introduced me to Ruby, and then we met Ruby, who's absolutely adorable.
And Ruby plays Sorsha's daughter, Kit.
Yeah, Kit.
Yes, yes. And so we went for this read through, and up until that point, I just thought we were very, very RP. You know, throw them to the dogs, you know, that thing. And Philippa then expressed how she wanted this kind of sass.
Philippa was the director.
Yes. And John Kasdan was there, so he was there also giving this this tone to the humor and this what you call it, the arrogance of Saris, you know, and you know, and just kind of Malkoviched it up a little bit, you know. You know, it's one of those things, and it wasn't, you know, and we did the dialogue, and then that's when Tom started to have to change what he had in mind, and then with me, she says, "Oh no, I just want it more American," and you know, and so I went again. I said, "Home to the dogs." She said, "That's it," and then that stuck. That stuck. Sorry, that stuck. And,
right.
What? Well, did they show you Willow and say, "See the trolls in Willow? Don't do that." Because you were so opposite, and the trolls had a better sense of humor. They were funny.
Yes, but that was part of that Vermiscus thing. That whole boot camp was saying to us, no, we've evolved from the primate state. We've been given this elixir that's going to turn us into an army. You know, so in the back of our minds, you know, we're creating our own backstory and our own forwards journey, and we're saying, well, okay, we'll get smart enough. And then you know, we'll go and take on the crone ourselves, or go have our own place. You know, we won't always be subservient to the crone. So we had these types of thoughts based on that evolutionary scale, and the months of boot camp going from, well, being more infantile, trying to stray away from primate, but what kind of movements would you use? You know, Derek was very, very intricate about how that came about, and it made it easy because we then became more aware of our dialogue. And so for me, having that journey, and Tom getting to that level where, you know, he just struts around the place, and some of my favorite lines, like "anywho," you know, and things like that. So, you know, while I'm always that one step behind. So even with the filming, because you don't know how they're going to cut it, you give them everything in your scene, right? And you don't know what camera's on, you give them everything every single time, so they have the options. And so there were two moments when there's a tunnel collapse, you know, as the troll behind us comes in, who was played by Derek, and says, we've got some rabble rousers, shall we go and deal with them? While he's saying that, I'm about to say, yes, go and deal with them. And Sarah says no. So I'm like, no, go away. You know, it's always giving to that scene. And when he says, yeah, explain it to me like I'm an imbecile.
Yeah.
You know, when that was cut, you know, because we filmed it and then they tighten it up and he walks off, and I'm a minute and I'm like, I don't get it, you know, but there's always that differentiation that I needed for that place. And even when I'm stood there beside him, you know, I'm not a bouncer, you know, I'm not his big brother. He doesn't need protecting. They're human beings. I'm like, you know, it's all of these things.
Was there any kind of improv moment that you were hoping they would cut in, but it was left on the editing room floor when you saw the show finally? You said, oh, I wish they had used that little improv bit between me and Tom.
That bit when I'm nodding my head, you know, it might have been a bit too much, a bit too funny. But that bit there, I would say, I think for Tom, there's one line he says, while he is fighting Christian Slater, you know, and I think and I can't remember what it was, if it was with Kit, when he says, I thought we were friends or something. There was one of those lines, you know, that may come up. He might mention that at some point, but that line, he is absolutely made up about that. It was kept in.
Oh,
well,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of Christian Slater, though, were you surprised to see him on set? Did you know he was going to be there?
I was shocked when they announced him as one of the cast members.
Oh, I know.
I love Christian Slater, but I just never would have made the connection.
Yeah.
It was rumored. a week from anywhere from a week or a month before anything was confirmed, but it wasn't like something they mentioned every single day. You just heard it. Thought, oh, maybe they'll get Christian Slater. Maybe they're in talks with Christian. It was just weird things like that. And I remember we weren't suited up. It was freezing, and warmest jacket I have is my episode 7 Gore-Tex jacket. So I'm wearing that, and we're going into this hangar where they're going to show us where the fight is going to take place. That we've been rehearsing with the stunt team. Amazing team. And as I get there, this dude opens the door and he says, oh, hey, Star Wars, I love Star Wars. And it's while he's saying that, I'm looking up thinking, that's Christian Slater. And he was just so lovely, just chatty, and he was just like, and it's true what I think Ahmed has said, that there's this energy, there's this life when he just walks in, and it's not intimidating. It's just like he just includes everybody,
Okay, here's a trivia question, something I just learned. What Star Wars connection does Christian Slater have?
Star Wars connection. Is it a family connection? I don't know.
No. Christian Slater was in a Star Wars Kenner commercial. Back in 1981, he was in the Darth Vader carrying case commercial with Peter Billingsley, aka Ralphie from Christmas Story.
Whoa.
So let's go ahead and roll that commercial in and see if you recognize him and Ralphie.
Bet you know what this is. It's the Darth Vader collector's case from the Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back collection. Inside, it's got room for your favorite Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back action figures. They fit? Yeah. There's new Dengar, AT-AT Driver, Rebel Commander, Leia, and 2-1B. You can hold up to 31 action figures, each sold separately, and you can take them with you. Darth Vader collector's case. Action figures, each sold separately. From Kenner.
That's Christian Slater.
I think I remember that commercial.
And I never would have made the connection, but he did confirm that on a late night talk show he was on a while back.
Wow.
Yeah, and that little blonde boy, that's Peter Billingsley from A Christmas Story and Messy Marvin. And
he was throwing around some Star Wars quotes while he was on set. I mean, he does get to say, Kit, I am your father, and it's all very Empire Strikes Back. That's that episode. But one thing that I kept saying to him every time he kept looking us up and down, I'd say to him as Falcon, I said, Chavez, I would tell him Chavez, and he'd be like, okay. All right.
Well, you would tell him what?
Chavez. I was sent by Chavez. From Young Guns. Young Guns that's my favorite Christian Slater movie. Everybody has different Christian Slater movies. Young Guns, because I was already plugged into that. I just love Emilio Estevez's performance in that.
Yeah, I would have gone with the Heather's quote. What's your favorite Christian Slater movie?
Yeah.
Don't say Cuffs.
No, there's like some action movies that he was in, and now I can't remember what they was. It Arrow, something Arrow, Broken Arrow?
Broken Arrow. I think he's in that. Yeah.
I think. Well, now that I can't remember, I just know Christian Slater. Like Christian Slater was just like a heartthrob.
Right. Well, he was in Star Trek. His mom was in one of the movies, 4 or 5. He had a small cameo. He's in the shadows and he's delivering a tray to somebody. His mom was the casting director, so they kind of threw him in there as a fun little Easter egg.
Well, anybody watching, let us know what your favorite Christian Slater movie. I need to see a list of movies.
That's why I was so surprised when they cast Christian Slater in this, because he's Christian Slater, more of a character actor. So when you see him, it's like, hey, that's Christian Slater.
Well, he's not a character actor. He's more Christian. He's
right. So that's why I was surprised, because when you see him on the screen, you don't see the character.
No, you see Christian
quote unquote
Slater.
Mad Mardigan as he calls himself. So you see Christian Slater. I bet that's why they gave him that eye patch.
Okay.
To hide the Slaterness.
But there's no mistaking that
voice.
I mean, his voice is so distinct.
Yeah, well, he's less of a Jack Nicholson clone than he was back in the 80s.
Right. Well, I like that they cast Christian Slater, because to me, he's kind of in the same slot as Val Kilmer in terms of his celebrity and popularity in the 90s.
Mhm.
For me,
Oh,
anyway.
he was in, was it Robin Hood?
Yes, he was in Robin
That's
Hood. Yeah, with
right.
Kevin Costner.
And that has the same similar kind of humor, you know,
Yes.
and swashbuckling kind of antics and things like that. It was a nice fit. I mean, I didn't know about any of the stuff they were shooting after that. I think they sent me the script, but I just read what scenes that I was dealing with and didn't want to spoil the rest. So to see him play that out and be this person that they'd been talking about all the way through, and not sure what was going to happen at the end, because I did see, I never got to see much on the monitors, but that moment the trolls all pounced.
Ooh.
That was over. That was, yeah, that was after a couple of days when, while Tom and I and the troll boot camp had been in effect. After that, the whole CFX team came. You know, they didn't tell us, they didn't give us the heads up. I walked in, I got my face half done, coming in to get my hair put on by Jody, you know, and they all stood there, and I'm like, I could have cried and messed up the whole thing. You know, it was such a surprise. And then to see this scene that they were going to do, and they were going to pounce on top of him and things like that on the monitors, it just looked epic. You know, and you just didn't know, you know, and they didn't say whether he survived or not. So I don't know.
Well, speaking of which, and I got to ask you a very spoilery question. So if anyone has not seen this episode, skip ahead a couple of seconds. Now, during the end of the battle, was that Falcon who lost his head? It was.
You know, John, if I'm going to go, I'm going to go.
Yeah, because there's the battle is just so intense and so fast and furious that I couldn't tell who was being killed or slain. And then when I saw Borman slice the troll, it's like,
oh, I know.
Oh, I hope that wasn't Dee. I hope that wasn't Dee. And they replicate that Jango Fett shot where you see his head in an insert shot rolling away. It's like, oh, there goes Dee's head. I think
there was an entire. I think we all had a minute's worth of a fight routine, which they could pick apart and stick in. And before he does that, I think he runs, just before I see Saris getting run through with a sword, and I turn and look, Borman has already run me through with his sword. And then he pulls it out, steps back, turns around, and bop. You know, so I think they thought, this is Disney. Yeah, it's a bit much. So you never know that Vermiscus might be able to bring Saris back, but you know, unless they're going to mummify, turn Falcon with stitching around his neck. I don't know. I don't think he'll be back.
How did it feel to see your head rolling around like that?
It's you know what? Yeah, funny to say that, because obviously it's the same thing they put on my face, and it's sculpted, and they've got the stunt head, and it looks exactly like my head, right? So it was somewhat surreal, but in the moment, we had spent a couple of weeks with this fight choreography with Luke and CC's team, and it were just amazing, and being taught how to do a fight sequence. It's been a while since I've done a dance routine, let alone a fight sequence, and so I kind of fell into that, and that was amazing. And then to get killed by one of the heroes, you know, that's the way to go. You know, when you're telling these fairy tales, you know, can't all be the heroes.
Oh yeah, just like Samuel L. Jackson said, okay, George, if you're gonna kill me, I don't want to get shot in the back by some punk battle droid. I want to go out in a hero's death.
Oh geez.
Yeah, so it's a double-edged sword. You know, I'll always say yes to John Kasdan, but I'll know exactly how I'm going.
Double-edged sword, no pun intended.
Oh.
How long did you shoot on for this episode?
Maybe 2 months. Maybe 2 months. There was a lot of stop-starts with the different units because of COVID and whatever. And obviously they were shooting other sequences. So while they sent me back to London, they'd continue shooting other things. And so with the Troll team still down there, they could facilitate scenes that I'd never seen before, like bringing Willow and Kit into the caves, you know, which I thought, oh, that looks so cool, you know, things like that. So it was just full of surprises in that regard. But yeah.
Huh.
Nice. That's so cool, though.
Maybe Saris and Vulcan have got a third brother, and that's how you can return at some point.
Well, yeah, well, you know, if you've got Jonas with some cage around his head, man, all I need is a few little staples around mine. You know,
That's right, Jonas Swatimo, who plays Chewbacca, he was in this episode.
Oh.
Oh my good. Oh.
What did he play again?
Yeah, we actually saw all these episodes like a few months ago when we got screeners, so now it's all coming back.
right.
He played one of the big giants with that cage around his neck.
The
Right.
spikes.
Yeah. I'm so glad they brought him back. Did you get it? What's that?
Well, it's Lucasfilm family. You know, when you've done work for them, it's easier for them to know where to place you because you've delivered before. You know, so it really does feel like Lucasfilm love. You know, when they call you up to do these things, because there isn't technically much of a casting for it. They know what you can do. Maybe the read through with Tom and I, with Philippa, you know, maybe that was a casting, you know, because she didn't know us. You know, she'd cast everybody else, and John says, "Oh no, I got these two guys." Right?
Yeah, and like you said earlier, this is better than a casting agency, because a casting agency would give you your role and put you back at the bottom of the list and let you work your way up again. But with the Lucasfilm family, it's like, oh, we need a creature performer, get Dee on the phone.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I haven't even experienced the other side. You know, I've been very very fortunate to have been missed out on having missed out on other projects by other companies that weren't interested in having me part of it. You know, those things, it's kind of balances up, because it's like, well, you give me a choice. Would I have gone with them, or would I have gone with Lucasfilm? You know, here's an example. 2 weeks before I had the phone call about Willow, I was approached to be in a TV drama soap over here called Hollyoaks. And I've never done them. And my agent knows I've never done them, even though I had the casting offers and things like that. And she said, well, just have a think. It's only for 9 months, you know, and these things pay. These things pay really, really well, right? Way, way more than what we get paid, all right? And I sent a message back to my agent. I said, I'm not going to do it. She said, oh, but it's only for 9 months, you know, and the people are lovely. And I said, look, I'm sure the people are lovely, right? But that would be 9 months of torture. I don't just not like daytime drama soaps that we have over here, like EastEnders, Coronation Street, even Downton Abbey. It's not I don't like them, I hate them. and you know, I really do. They are the complete opposite to what would interest me into wanting to become an actor. Fairy tales, yeah? I come from fairy tales. I don't want to see real world. No, I don't want to see real world. It bores me to tears. You know, take me to the fantasy. That's what it's there for. You know, so it felt like I would have been betraying the deepest part of myself to accept that job. You know,
you call that integrity. Integrity to your dreams.
Yeah, and my agent said, are you sure? And I said, yeah. And I said, look, trust me, I always make decisions like this. You know me, I have to make a decision like that. And trust me, if I go down that route, it's going to send me in a direction I don't want to go in. And if I accept it, it's like accepting the invitation to join that club. It's not a club, but it's that energy. And I said, I've gotten this far by turning things like that down. 2 weeks
Yeah.
later, had the phone call about Willow.
Wow.
See, good things happen to good people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could do with a bit more good things happening, but I'll take it as it comes. But it's such a blessing when it comes, you know, because it's layered with a relationship with Jordan Kasdan, you know, working with Erin already, working with Warwick already, you know, we're doing fairy tales of all things. It's Lucasfilm. You know, I'm working with the CFX team that are absolutely made up that they're working on a fairy tale. Just so much about the whole process. It's like if you want to talk to me about Star Wars, yeah, it's that, but it's Lucasfilm. So it would be Lucasfilm with Star Wars. So it's Lucasfilm this way, and it's a breakout for me. So for me, it's not Star Wars anymore. It's something else. You know, still with a company that have a great deal of what you call integrity about fairy tales and catering to the 12-year-olds and upwards. You know, magic, you can't have a fairy tale without magic. You know, I won't watch it.
And that's the whole beauty of it. It's not just something you're watching anymore, but something you're a part of, and that's, like you said earlier, part of your family. So now you are Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, and now I'm a part of Warwick's Willow story. That in a sense is magical, you know. And I mean that in all seriousness, because serendipity that doesn't quite cover it. So it's magic that covers everything.
Oh
You know?
yeah.
Magic, yeah.
Oh, Willow was a huge part of my upbringing. I was 19 when Willow came out, and this really helped fill in that void where there was no Star Wars back in '88. There was no Star Wars, and this fit in beautifully. And I love this movie so much. I've got a big closet full of Willow merchandise because I could not get enough of
Oh,
Willow. I went to
brilliant.
Wendy's every day, get the Wendy's Happy Meals, get the little figures. I would glue to my dashboard of my car. Oh, I was a
Oh, wow.
I obtained the big video display in our video store.
I obtained.
Yes. What did they say in the Bad Batch? I liberated it.
Yes, liberator of ancient Willow wonders.
Yes. Now, can you give us a preview of anything that you're working on now? Or something you may have coming up in the future?
Nothing happening right now. But there's a commercial that I was a part of at the end of. It's like a short, but it's like a commercial. But it was recorded last year, November. Sometime last year. But it was to do with telling people just only buy what you need, don't overbuy or whatever. So, you know, it's just you've got these vegetables and apples and things like that in this trash can, and another piece of trash comes in and joins them and thinks it's the stomach, you know, and it's about how the others just kind of explain to them that no, this isn't the stomach. You just thrown away your food. He's wasting the food. So it's kind of a little thing like that. But
what do you play that?
I play the red pepper.
You're like Dustin Hoffman and Tootsie. He had a tomato.
Yes.
Yeah, he just stood there because a tomato can't move. It's a tomato.
This pepper's got a lot of emotion.
Well, but you know what? With all the Star Wars projects that are coming out and announced on an hourly basis, I'm sure you'll be back in that universe sometime very, very soon.
Well, my fingers are crossed. Yeah, we haven't had much to do lately, so hopefully. And there's some exciting stuff, but the way they film it, it's kind of like you get the hang of it. And it's like, okay, so last year they spent all that time filming. This year it's about screening. Okay, probably won't film anything until the end of the year because they want the money to come in to fund it all. So it's kind of, you don't know how it's happening, you know, and you don't know where it's all coming from. But with Lucasfilm, it's just like it's like a conveyor belt of screening agendas, you know, and filming agendas, because the UK isn't separate from LA. The UK has to follow what LA want, you know. So yeah.
Well, you know what? You can always move over here to LA and as well, because in Manhattan Beach right now they're shooting Ahsoka. Mandalorian season 3 just wrapped up. Skeleton
Oh.
Crew is being shot over there. You know, you go back and forth, and you don't have a free day of the whole year.
I know I'm missing out on a lot. I need to get my butt over there. I really do. I really do. I really do.
Well, we know who we would want to spend Halloween with.
Yes, yes. And I would need to do another pilgrimage, and you guys need to come with myself and Brian.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you for letting me crash on your couch.
You know what? Our couch is always open. I think we got a new couch since you've been
Yes.
here last. So you know what? It pulls out to a bed. You got a place to stay, Steve.
I'm there. I'm there.
All right, with that, what we're gonna do, since we got so much fun stuff here, we're gonna break this up into 2 episodes. One with you talking about Willow, because there's so many great stories,
Yeah.
and then we'll do a whole different episode talking about The Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Do we record now though, right? Or-
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Are
yeah,
you
yeah.
good to go, Dee? Are
Do
you
you,
good?
do you have time?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. So, yeah. So we can keep recording. Do you want me to stop this one?
Yeah, probably stop that.
Actually, no, let's not because of
because of that.
Yeah, it's recording, so we're all good. We'll
Okay.
sync it once. So we'll
All
just
right,
keep
so
recording.
we'll wrap it up there. Were there any other stories to tell on Willow, or did we cover everything?
Um,
Did you get a chance to catch up with Warwick Davis?
I can tell you one thing. I can tell you, I had never worn contact lenses before.
Oh no!
Never. You know, never worn prosthetics before. Never had false teeth before. All right. Never put into a suit that tight before. And they sent me down to a place called Fangs, who do the fake teeth and things like that. And the guy was telling me just to relax, we did it for what's that lovely lady's name, that actress, Lara Croft.
Angelina Jolie?
That's it. Yeah, said that he did her teeth or something at some point. And listed all these people, and he mentioned the blue face guy from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, Michael Rooker?
Yeah.
Younger.
That dude. So I was looking at it, I was like, oh, okay, that's not so bad. The next thing was going to get the contact lenses. Right.
So, yeah, that's where they would have lost me.
The first time you put in contact, it takes you like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
it's just so weird.
I can't have anything touch my eye.
How did you do with that, Dee?
Look, if there's something wrong with my eye, it's like if I've got in really bad pain, if I'm afraid of needles, or if someone's got to put a needle in my eye, they've had to scrape something off my eye once before, right? But the pain that you're in, you're like, to hell with it, do it, all right? And I knew that there was no backing out. It's like, can't you just kind of put special effects on my eyes? I knew there's no backing out.
Yeah, I'll pay for the tracking, the visual effects. I'll pay for the visual effect. Just don't go near my eye.
Take it out of my pay. I'll still be paying you now, but still take it out of my pay. All right. Yeah. So I spoke to Chris Bartlett, who's over in LA, and I spoke to Rachel, who was with him, and she just basically talked me through a process of how you do it or whatever and things like that. I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm kind of getting an idea of what's going to happen. All right, so that's all I need. So now that there's no surprises, and I get there and they're lovely and things like that, but they weren't going to put the actual lenses in. They would just test the lenses. I'll have to put a picture up. I know I took a picture at some point. And they were like baby blue colors, all right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm gripping as hard as I can onto the chair. And she's saying, just relax, right? And so when the hands go there or whatever, it's too late to say no or anything like that. And she put one in, closed my eye, and then she put the other one in. And I'm like, I'm just breathing. And she's like, open your eyes. I'm going to leave them in for a bit. I'm like, okay. I'm like really scared. This is the first time. And so everything's a bit blurry. Takes about 5-10 minutes or so, and then everything starts to clear up. I'm like, oh, hey, this isn't so bad, right? So I just get used to that. And then it was like, okay, right, now it's time to take them out. I'm like, I
Yeah.
see how people do that. They go like this,
Mhm.
and you're going to do that tomorrow. So it was more gripping of the chair, and she did it. But it was that fact that it was like, if someone said to be involved in Willow, to be able to work for Lucasfilm, would you go through that? Of course I would. Of course I would. And that's basically how I get through most of those first times, right? I put it that way to myself.
Yeah.
And having said that, every time backstage, offset, there was like, it was very, very dark. We had these white tents on cubicle things or whatever, and they put the eyes in. Richard would put our lenses in and eye drops and things like that. And then we'd walk to the set. Now, walking to the set, I think it was easier for Tom. I think Tom's worn contacts before. I couldn't see a thing, right? So it's really blurry. And so they would always have to guide me like the blind, guide, because I couldn't see, to the set. Get there, and they wait for me to be set and steady, and say, okay, well, there's a line there, and blah blah blah. Do you want us to put anything here, or do that? And it's slowly calming down, and then it's like, okay, all right, I'm better now. And then it would be going back offset to take them out, and then going from being able to see again into pitch black, and I would need to be led out again, right? And one of these times, it was that scene where the whole gang come and face the trolls after they've sorted out that puzzle, right? They call come there, and Cyrus and Falcon and the trolls are waiting for them, And while we were rehearsing that, it wasn't until I was stood with the cast, and Erin says, yeah. Oh, this is Dee, and she was introducing me and things like that, and it was lovely. And then Armand said, you know what? The first time I saw the way he says, the first time I saw you, Erin had said to me, "That's Dee Tails. You're going to be fighting Dee Tails." And he says when he looked over, he saw me being guided out like I couldn't see.
Oh, no wonder you lost your head.
And with a look of distress on his face, he says to Erin, "I'm gonna kill him." Right.
That's so funny.
And so he was so relieved when we had the rehearsals, and so relieved that he understood that it would take some time for it to calm down and whatever and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a moment. I couldn't stop laughing at that when I heard that.
You're a braver man than I. When it comes to my eyes, don't go near my eyes. Just putting on these glasses right now is enough.
Dude, right. You get a phone call. It's John Kasdan. Yeah, he says, "I'm just writing this thing for George Lucas. Yeah, we want you to play a cameo role. Yeah, but we want you to wear contact lenses."
I'll say, put me under, and you got me. Anesthesiologist on staff. I'll pay for that as well. Just put me under.
That is so funny. As someone who's had contacts since middle school and put them in myself, pop them in, pop them out, pop them in. This is hilarious.
Nope.
I find, once it's a routine and you get used to that, I'm like, yeah, but it's your eyes. You wouldn't normally put your fingers in your eyes. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that's true.
Whew, yeah. Well, speaking of upcoming projects, you have a project coming out this Monday, January 16th, when you did a cameo in my short film, Rebel Spy Reject, where you're antagonizing me that you've been Rebel Spy and I have not.
I was celebrating you, man.
You switched seats with me.
That's so funny.
I could have been me.
Oh, that's why you were crying?
Yes. Do we have that?
We do.
Hey, do you want to see this little montage?
It's a preview for the video.
Here's a preview of this one small scene from Rebel Spy Reject where Dee Tails makes a cameo.
Coming out January 16th.
My birthday.
Whenever Richard's friends get picked to be the Rebel Spy, they always let him know
I was the rebel spy 13 times.
The only time I've ever been the rebel spy was when Richard and I swapped seats.
Rebel spy? Yeah, of course I've been rebel spy. Who hasn't?
How many times have I been rebel spy?
16 times.
12 times.
14 times?
16 times.
7 times.
18 times.
3 times.
Twice.
1, 2, 3,
4 times.
22
I've been the rebel
times.
spy 8 times.
18 times.
I cannot believe I was chosen today
5
for
times.
the rebel spy.
13 times for me.
4 times.
7 times, don't you know?
And I've been the rebel spy 16 times, and I am almost 9.
They kind of blur after a while.
Going and going and going. Brilliant.
And I call you people friends.
It's so cute.
Yeah, people always mention your bit as the funniest part of the whole montage. Yeah, we swap seats, and Dee gets to be rebel
Yeah.
spy,
the one time.
and the montage goes on a little bit longer, but we'll save everything until the release
That's
this
right.
coming Monday.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, congratulations.
We've been working on this for between 4 and 5 years now.
Yeah, just
Oh.
having little bits here and there at
Yeah.
Disneyland.
The whole piece is about 9 minutes, and I think we reshot it like 3 to 4 times. We reshot a pandemic ending, a non-pandemic ending, a happy ending, a sad ending, a surprise ending.
I'm
Okay, I
always
think we're
so
done.
jealous when I see that you're walking about Disney. You know, I'm just like, oh.
Aw.
Yeah, someday.
You know. And what's worse about it is always blue skies. It's like, oh.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Awesome. All right, with that, we'll wrap up this segment.
Mhm. Yeah, I need a short break. And I'll
Okay.
be right back.
All right, so we shouldn't stop the recording.
No, let's
on
keep it
Okay.
going. Let's keep
And then we'll dive into the Empire Strikes Back. So thanks for sharing all your Willow stories. I didn't think there'd be so much. It looked like you were shooting for like a day.
Can you? Yeah, you know. And when I looked at it, I was like, "Wow!" I was just like, "Yeah, that's a lot of work for those scenes that you wanted, you know." And we filmed some scenes with Ruby and Warwick, and then we filmed them after we had done the torture scene. We did it again when Christian Slater arrived, so we could do the POVs.
Mm-hmm.
Camera angles, but it was, you know, there was something really, there's something really surreal about the whole thing. You know, it's beautiful that a fairy tale for children can be made, since how that's who they're made for. You know, I know that you can enjoy the Lord of the Rings, you know, and it's got some humor and it's got enough pace to it, especially the way Andrew Jackson had created the movies. You know, even with what's the other one? Game of Thrones. You know, Game of Thrones is purely adult. It's not for children at all. You know, but there are room for those levels and understanding those levels. You know, and understanding what you're watching. You know, and you know, a lot of the fandom, even with it's not exclusive to Star Wars. You know, say, well, I watched the movie, you know, and it's just like, oh, okay, and I watched the TV show, and it's not the same thing. And it's just like, well, if you watch Sesame Street right now, it wouldn't be the same thing, because it's still being designed for 12-year-olds. You know, the age of attraction that it was attracting was 12-year-olds and upwards. You know, and the families and the young teens and people that love that adventure. Like, it didn't have to be overly dramatic, you know, to tell a story. You know, I think that's what was beautiful about Robin Hood Men in Tights and Princess Bride. You know, absolutely amazing, you know, and fairy tales. Just, you know.
The beauty about Willow, it had so much humor. The humor for me really sold it. It wasn't one of these just all out swords and dragons and sorcery and high action. Willow, I thought Warwick Davis did an amazing job.
That wasn't a popular genre at the time. You could do fairy tales, you could do Conan, and you could do all these things, but to give it an ironic sense about itself.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, they were really worried about it because Legend had come out in '85 with Tom Cruise, and it bombed miserably. So now to have another fantasy film come out was very risky. It came out the same weekend as Crocodile Dundee 2 and Rambo 3. In fact, they pulled it a week ahead of those other films. They
Right.
were all fighting for that same Memorial Day weekend spot of release, but then Lucasfilm said, "Yeah, let's pull us out a little more because right now the whole world is Dundee and Rambo crazy. So let's have our film stand apart and give it a chance by putting it out on the Wednesday before the Friday."
This is a knife.
Yeah, that's not a knife. That's a knife.
Yeah, and that was the thing, you know. Legend, I think with that movie, as beautiful as it is, was way too dark to attract children. You know, it didn't have enough of the happy magic popping up through it. You know, now you can watch it as an adult and think, whoa, that's pretty deep. You know.
Oh yeah, and Tim Curry is a big giant monster, scared a lot of kids.
An absolute genius, an absolute genius of a performer, you know. And there's a beautiful film, you know. But you notice how Willow was out in the open. Oh, let's make it even brighter. Let's put them on snow. You know, it was that, you know, as well as its immediate tag as having the most high-tech special effects sequence ever in cinema, you know, which was the morphing.
Morphing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, and that was still Lucasfilm growing and growing and growing, you know, and so that in itself, but Val Kilmer, and it just made it a family orientated movie from start to finish because of the humor. But what I mentioned to John and Wendy when I spoke to them was because they asked if I'd seen it, and I'd seen it 2 weeks before they had told me to see it, because I'm thinking I haven't seen this in a while, you know. And then when I'm having a chat with them, because I knew I was having this chat and it was coming up, I'd seen it again. And I said, is it still going to maintain its pace and humor? Because that's what I'm seeing. And he said, yeah, that's what we're going to do our best to do. You know, and that's why it goes at that pace. And I love this one line where David Davis says, and it's after he's burnt up that woman that's flying, chasing Borman. And he says, you know,
hold on, we froze.
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
You know,
did we freeze or did you freeze?
Uh-oh.
Still going.
Oh no. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, did I lose you at some point?
Yeah, you froze, but that's okay.
You were saying when Willow was saying about burnt up something.
Yeah, he burnt. That was chasing Borman. And Borman says, "What is that?" And he says, "Don't worry about it." It's brilliant. And it's like, oh, it's probably some potion he concocted, but let's keep moving. You know, I absolutely love that.
That's so funny.
Well, one of the greatest things about Willow was that the fact that the hero was a very unlikely hero. It was a small Nelwyn, and another hero was the old lady warrior. Two things you would never see in a movie like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was a bit of a con artist, you know, and he blagged his way through, you know, the whole thing, you know, while gradually still learning and wanting to learn more about magic. You know, it's that kind of audacity to be that kind of funny. You know?
Right. Okay, so with that,
let's begin the classic Marvel.
Oh, hold on.
Star Wars.
Quarter One November says, "Oh, it was us who froze."
Okay.
We're plugged in.
Yeah.
We're having a lot of rain right now.
Yeah.
We feel like we're in England.
Okay. Yeah. We're still
in LA.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. one or 2 weeks out of the whole year.
Yeah.
It rains nonstop.
By the way, a while ago, Martin had waved. Martin Keeler.
Is Martin Keeler still here?
I don't know. And Reynold Gobey says, hey, but we were already like into our discussion, so I didn't want to.
Love Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Martin actually makes a little cameo in that montage with you.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. Do you want to read that?
Yeah,
part?
so we'll just read this
Okay.
and okay, so if you're ready now, we will dive into
Woo.
The Empire Strikes Back.
Yay!
All right, here we go. Slate it, and here we go. Long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there exists a state of cosmic civil war. A brave alliance of underground freedom fighters has challenged the tyranny and oppression of the awesome galactic empire. This is their story. And that is how Marvel Comics began every one of their 107 issues of their original Star Wars comic series. Now, I am here to take you through these classic stories and share memories of reading these comics as a kid, and to get you caught up with these characters and situations that every Star Wars fan must know. And because, as we've noted, there are several connections and parallels to the current films and comics and novels.
Now, this is a series where we break down each issue of the vintage Star Wars comic series that ran from 1977 through 1986. And I'm reading these comics for the very first time and sharing my 21st century response, as well as my artistic thoughts. Very different from Richard.
Now, coming back to Skywalking Through Neverland is Dee Tails. Hey, Dee.
Hey.
Now, did you read these classic Star Wars comics as a kid, or are you reading them for the first time like me?
I'll be reading them for the first time like you. I mean, I remember picking one up. The front cover wasn't too dissimilar from this one. I remember it was Luke Skywalker on the front in his flight suit or something like that. And I remember opening it up. And in the UK back in the day, it's 50-50 whether a comic, had color on the inside as well as on the front cover. And this one had no color. So I was like, no, right? But I had no idea about Star Wars at that point, other than the cards and the stickers and things we were collecting in the playground. But I saw it and it's like Star Wars. Oh, there's something to do with Star Wars. And I think Chewbacca was on the front or something. I recognized these characters. But didn't delve into it because the print was in black and white. The front cover was like this, though.
That makes sense because I know as a kid, Richard, you were drawn.
Oh, I love these
color.
comics. Yeah, and do yourself a favor and get the Marvel Unlimited app. They have every one of the comics, every one of these vintage comics. And if you want to have fun with Star Wars, you got to go back and read through these or listen to the past episodes of classic Marvel Star Wars comics where we break down the stories. And there's parallels, such as in one of the first couple of issues past the first film adaptation, there were these characters called the Cloud Riders. Now, where do we see those in the film? We see them in Solo.
Yep.
So the filmmakers now, they're grabbing these characters or names,
right,
and using them in current films.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me know when Regineer Teed pops up.
When what pops up?
Regineer Teed. I'm a Cloud Rider.
Oh, nice.
I'm a Cloud Rider, baby.
So then you were featured in like issue numbers 16? 8 or 9. It's like, oh, there's Dee Tails right there.
Yeah.
Check it out.
All right, now in the last issue, number 39, but the second of the 6-part Empire adaptation. Do you need a calculator for all that?
Yeah.
All right, the rebels, they went into hiding on the ice planet Hoth, but were soon discovered by the Empire. Now, in this issue, number 40, this takes place during the Battle of Hoth, hence the name of the issue, Battleground Hoth.
Now, the release date was July 22nd, 1980.
Which means we are 8 issues away from when Sarah was born.
Yay! And this issue was written by Archie Goodwin, and it's based on the script by Lee Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan from the story by George Lucas. This is all on the cover. Artwork by Al Williamson, Carlos Garzón, and Glynis Vine. And cover art is by Al Williamson and Carlos Garzón.
Now on the cover, we see Luke Skywalker, and he stands outside of his crashed snowspeeder, ready to take on 3 looming AT-ATs against a blood red sky. And this issue may have cost you 50 cents, but you could win a $3,000 Toys R Us shopping spree, as it says right there in the top banner. So many reasons to get this issue. Now, I bet you want to know the details of this shopping spree. Do you see what I did there?
I
Now, I looked into this, and the winner gets 3 minutes to race through the store and bring up to $3,000 worth of merchandise, but only one of each item. You couldn't get multiples. You couldn't get like 20 bikes.
right.
You had to get one item, one of each item, and you only have 3 minutes.
That's crazy.
But if you want to get in on the shopping spree, you better hurry, because you only have until September 30th, 1980 to submit your forms.
I'm on it.
That's so funny. All right, so let's go into this cover. Now, we had also asked our Skywalkers to make comments on it. So if you happen to be watching right now and are in the Sky Chat and want to comment on the cover, please do so. And then Richard, so what do you think of this comic cover?
I love this comic cover. I love it so much. I love the bright red backdrop. This really drew me in as a kid. I've always loved these solid colors on these covers. Then you put the lumbering AT-ATs in there, and you have a winner. Nothing about this is wrong. I just love everything about this. And back then, we didn't call them AT-ATs. No, we called them Snow Walkers.
Really?
Because of the Topps trading card. That's the only thing we had to go on. So they were called Snow Walkers. And I don't really recall seeing the name AT-AT until the toy came out in 1981.
Okay.
But I do recall thinking, Luke, do you really have a chance against these 3 Imperial lumbering walkers? He's there with his lightsaber ignited, ready for battle, ready to battle 3 lumbering AT-ATs. Good luck, Luke. Good luck. In his experience, there's no such thing as luck.
All right, Dee, what do you think about this cover?
This is beautiful. It's the style and the aesthetic of contrasting colors. You know it's an AT-AT. You recognize it from the movie. It's not the same color, but it doesn't matter. It's the dramatic aspect that the image has, broken up with the white snow below. This is a picture frame, and yeah, you'll get that from me for most of those pages. It's like, oh man, I should blow that up. I should put that on the wall. But it's so beautiful. But also, like you said, with him standing out, out front of his ship there with his lightsaber, and you're just thinking, wow, how's he going to deal with that? Because he isn't backing down. You're thinking, as a kid, yeah, man, that lightsaber just cut those legs off or something, But he's ready for action, and look at that AT-AT just staring him down. He didn't even know back then that that would probably be one of the last things he would see.
Yeah, no
Maybe
kidding.
he heard the story of Kanan Jarrus, because Kanan Jarrus cut off the legs of a walker with his lightsaber.
All right, there you go. See, anything's possible, but it's Luke, and you'll back that. You'll back that image.
Oh, well, we got a comment here from Reynold who says, is this the first time C-3PO and R2 are at the top corner?
Before this,
Yeah, I had mentioned this on our last episode, I believe. It was at least one issue before this.
Yeah, the last issue, they changed the image of Luke Skywalker with a red lightsaber to R2 and 3PO to really begin the whole new series of the Empire Strikes Back adaptation. So from issue 1 to 38, it was Luke He-Man with a red lightsaber.
Right.
Now they just changed it to R2 and 3PO.
Yeah.
Now, Sarah, what are your comments on the artwork here?
Okay, so I feel like the use of that red sky makes it very foreboding, very like danger, danger, danger. This is an attack, right? So the use of color there is great. And I really love how they managed to squeeze 3 AT-ATs into this vertical frame. They did very well with that in terms of the depth there. One of the things I was a little surprised about was that Luke is kind of small. Usually in a lot of the covers in the foreground, they'll have like a character like very, very close up,
Very prominent.
So very prominent. So I'm surprised that Luke is not like, you're not seeing almost like a mid shot of him with, like
Right.
with holding his lightsaber, but closer to the camera, if you will.
Well, this was a huge scene in The Empire Strikes Back, and all the kids love the Snow Walkers.
Right. Oh,
so
yeah.
we just wanted to see more Snow
You just
Walkers
want
than
the
anything else.
AT-ATs?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So I just feel like that's something they could have done to even add a little more depth.
Mhm.
But I do love the title Battleground Hoth, because this is an adaptation, and this like speaks right to the fact that, okay, we're covering the Battle of Hoth in this particular issue. So it's a great call out.
All right,
The way
now
the dialogue is written, the way those banners are written, all I'm hearing in my head is like from like, is it the Clone Wars? Battleground Hoth.
Tom Kane's narration,
Yeah.
Battleground Hoth.
And it fits. When I'm reading, I'm like, yeah, that works. But it's kind of that kind of
1940s radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
Cool.
Oh, that's what all these Star Wars stories are based on. The 1930s and 40s, Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers.
And here we go, everybody. It's the Battleground Hoth.
That was very, very good. So from now on, Sarah will be reading all the narration. But before that, let's go through some of these comments that Skywalkers had left on our Facebook group and page regarding this cover art.
So Alazara Derek says, first of all, Dee Tails is one of my favorite guests you had on the show. A real one of us guys. He brings depth to all the behind the scenes little people up to the front row and has played some great characters. You should get him back in to talk about his time doing Willow.
Done. Check out the last episode.
Yeah.
So much love for that. Thank you.
Yeah. So Alazara goes on to talk about the cover. What's not to love about this cover? It has 2 iconic ships on the cover. I didn't have an X-Wing as a kid. I had 2 snow speeders. I have this comic, and the artwork inside is great too. Just 2 days ago, I drove past an old Toys R Us that still stands, yet gutted, and I posted the photo on my Instagram account. I missed the special events they had on May the 4th be with you. They would make a very big deal about it. Let's see. So to see their logo adorn this cover, it's a great reminder of the toy empire of our childhoods. Wow, that's a great quote. Oh, and once again, Luke stands alone in front of the AT-ATs. I wonder if that's where they got the last trilogy idea from. It was his second time standing in front of the AT-ATs.
Oh, very, very good pull from The Last Jedi. Luke standing in front of those ATM-6s, and now here he is standing in front of a squad of AT-ATs.
That's awesome.
That's what I meant when I said that. Little did he know that would be one of the last things he would see.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, look at the 2 of you.
Right
there. Well, nice deep cut there.
Excellent.
Not even really a deep cut. That's why I didn't see that.
I know. Me too.
All right, Reynold Gobey, who is right here now in the Sky Chat, he wrote in and said, despite the Endor camouflage AT-ATs and the bright orange sunrise, the cover is amazing. really is. Rex Gordon says, Star Wars looking like it should. Look at this cover. It's got R2 and 3PO in the upper logo box, all sorts of action, and a Toys R Us shopping spree. This is way too cool. Couldn't agree more.
All right, Corwin of Amber here in the Sky Chat, Don, says, the saber blade seems unusually long. Is there an 11 setting on the saber?
His goes to 11.
Nice. Love that.
All right, Courtney Turkel.
She says, why is the sky always orange? I do, however, like the green color of the AT-AT in front of the orange. It gives a nice color contrast. But also, I want a $3,000 shopping spree to Toys R Us.
Hey, come with me. I'm going back to the 80s. I'm going.
Yeah. $3,000 could buy you a lot of action figures.
I'll say.
All right. Brian Babcock says, is blue too expensive of a color for the sky? Well, it does really contrast the AT-ATs.
It does.
It really shows the danger in this issue.
Now Matt Schott says, Al Williamson kicks ass. Nuff said.
Nuff said. That was the big Marvel catchphrase.
Oh.
Back in the day.
Okay.
Nuff said. Okay, we'll wrap it up with Patrick Izzo, who says, "This reminds me of the Force Unleashed figure." And he posted a picture of Luke from the Force Unleashed with his lightsaber, and he's standing in the same pose.
Oh, nice.
Now, not being big gamers, are you a big gamer? Do you see the Force Unleashed with this Luke pose?
I put a gamer. The only game I've been playing is Destiny. I'm trying to get onto some of these other games. I've got Battlefront.
Okay.
But yeah, it's almost like it slightly mirrors a Ralph McQuarrie picture, doesn't it? An image of Luke. I'm not sure if he's got the lightsaber down or up in that image, but
Oh, well, if you like Ralph McQuarrie callbacks, there's a lot in this issue.
Yeah.
All right, now let's go on to the issue, to the story, Battleground Hoth.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We start with a splash page where you see a battle-ready Luke Skywalker posing with a blaster in hand, and he's leaning into a snowbank while snow speeders fly across the night sky over Echo Base. And below him, we see the ion cannon and shield generators in white and blue, which is starkly contrasted by the black night sky.
Yeah, I love the splash page. We see Luke, and we don't know what's going on here, but
Well, so the narration fills us in on. So this is basically kind of a recap of the previous issue, right?
Mhm.
So the narration is telling us what happened in that first issue, which Princess Leia and her freedom fighters have set up a base on Hoth. An ice creature has attacked Luke, and there's an Imperial probe droid on the loose. Now, I have a question about this splash page. Do we think that's Luke? Because I initially thought that was Han.
Well, it's Luke
because
because
he,
he can-
well, because he's in the same pose in the movie where Han is shooting the probe droid.
Wait, look at his lightsaber on his belt.
Oh, it's got a oh, okay.
And he's not wearing his blue, not brown, or maybe it is brown jacket.
Whatever, it's blue.
Yeah. So this just shows us that Luke, being the main hero, he's going to be up front and center, and then we see Echo Base at night down below.
Yeah, I love that Echo Base. I think it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they've broken up the page. That's one of the things I love about artwork in comics, is how they separate and rejoin and connect these sections together. Without him, that just looked like a cloud, right?
Right.
But it works in this context. But yeah, the way that it's just, what is it, white, blue, and black? You got a splash of brown in there, but the colors and the lines are really, really strong.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because this Empire Strikes Back adaptation was pushed back an issue because Marvel really wanted to play with the formatting, whereas before this, everything was just in these square panel boxes, and now it's really broken up into collages.
Right, and one of the best things about comics is that that's part of the storytelling, is how they break up those boxes or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or take up a whole 2-page for one image,
Exactly.
But it also this kind of style, the way you're going from one shot to another, you can call it a wipe if you like. The Star Wars is like the legend, the icon movie of wipes, but your eye line just goes into each one, rather, like you're saying, with the boxes and the boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the two images are forcing you to look onto the next page because they're both looking right. So here we go into the story on this next page, and the heading, Chapter 2, Battleground Hoth. And we see a full-scale alert is in effect, where rebel troops are racing around Echo Base, and the next few panels really, show R2 and 3PO, and 3PO is admonishing R2, saying that his beeps and whistles have upset the ice monsters behind the heavy blast door. But then 3PO says that R2's high-pitched sounds is what trapped him in there in the first place. So I'm not sure what 3PO's point is. He should want the Wampas trapped. So is he now complaining just to complain? I think he is.
It's a beautiful introduction for those two.
Yeah, because they are complaining, and when we first see him in Empire, but there it makes more sense. All right, now we cut to the medical center and a scene that was cut from the film, where medical droid 21B lifts a bandage off of Luke's face. Then Leia slides in, and Luke tries to tell her something, but she cuts him off and says how afraid she was for him.
I felt afraid for you.
Oh, Luke was blocked. He was right there. He was on the precipice of telling her his feelings, but he was Luke blocked.
But look at this bottom left corner here, where Luke
Whoa.
and Leia are coming in for a kiss, and they're silhouetted against a hot pink background.
Whoa. All right.
Romance is in the air
Yeah,
here.
these artists knew what they were doing. But then, luckily, C-3PO saves the day and prevents them from a very, very big mistake. And the moment is lost between the two.
Yes. Now, I just want to comment on the artwork here. Like, I think they are doing a very good likeness of Luke in a lot of these shots. I mean, look at that. They got his lips right. They got his nose right. That's hard to do. And I'm really liking the art so far. And I do, even though it's, you know, very wrong that Luke and Leia are going to kiss, I do like that bottom left corner with Luke and Leia almost kissing against that hot pink. It's a nice storytelling moment.
It's almost like George Lucas had to step in and say, hey guys, at Marvel, I saw what you've done in the past. Now let's step it up and make sure that the characters look like the characters.
Right. But I do find it hilarious that 3PO interrupts them just like he would interrupt Luke and Han. I mean, Han and Leia later.
That's a whole different movie.
Yeah, I know.
In all motifs, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure how much I appreciate the scene because just, you know, I love those two frames. I love that pink frame, like bottom left corner, and like the one before it. And yeah, it's really strange. You know, as a kid, you knew she kissed him to make Han jealous.
Yes.
Even a kid, you knew that. And you knew that it was really cool that she gave him a kiss for luck when it was swinging over that thing, right? But there was no romantic thing in there. I remember him mentioning at one point saying to Han, do you think a girl like that would go for a guy like me or something like that? Yeah. I chalked that up to just being youthful or whatever, because you knew that there was something going on. Now Han, Han and Leia, there's something going. This needs a story that needs to be played out. Beyond that point, you know, beyond the movies, you had everybody making jokes about, oh yeah, they kissed each other and they're brother and sister, and it wears on you for a while because you're like, yeah, that was a joke early on back in the day. You know, now everybody knows why, you know, that happened. So to reintroduce it, it was completely unnecessary. But I think those two frames could be a picture on anybody's wall. You know what I mean? You know, just put in a speech bubble, just put in your own little thing in there, whatever, hang that on the wall. It's beautiful.
Caption this. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, but it's interesting that the reoccurring motifs of 3PO interrupting happen. You know, it's like, that's 3PO.
Well, I got a huge laugh in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
When Han and Leia were connecting after so long, and
New
3PO
jacket? No.
3PO has got to do his
Like, oh yeah, of course.
thing.
It's so cute.
You know, I think that's pretty cool. But it's also an interesting bit of information to say, well, this is what we shot. You know, whether George was on board with that or whether he changed his mind later on, whether it was necessary or whatever. But you know, if you're not going to show us the footage, yeah, you can tease us with this. You know, I'll hang those pictures on the wall or something. You know?
Oh yeah, this comic was produced before the final cut of the film was done, so Marvel had gotten a lot of alternate takes and deleted scenes.
Right. And would they have gotten the script as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of this was in the script.
Nice.
But then as you're editing, you cut things out.
Yeah.
But there just wasn't a strong connection between Lucasfilm and Marvel to say, oh, by the way, we cut that out. And maybe there was, but Marvel said, hey, we'd already printed the issues.
Right.
And I'm sure George would have said, yeah, never mind, go just run with it. Because when we see in the next couple of issues, we see Yoda, and Yoda's a little purple gnome, because that was one of the first concept designs by Ralph McQuarrie. And it wasn't until the reprints years later where they fixed Yoda to look like he did in the film.
Oh my god.
So all of this is like the Empire Strikes Back concept.
Wow.
Brilliant. But the thing is, can you imagine if they kept that scene in? That joke would be worse than it is today. It'd be on and on. It's just like, yeah, okay.
It really would.
Yeah, but right now Leia is almost like she's blocking Luke Luke is trying to tell her something. So if they kept it there, then people wouldn't have gotten so crazy over the big kiss.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that big kiss.
All right. So then Luke drops the news that he's going to be leaving for Dagobah, and Leia gets upset that Han is also leaving too. And so Leia barks out.
Tell me where? Right here? I could get more loyalty if I recruited some of those ice creatures we've trapped.
Oh, she's feeling abandoned. She's got some
She's
abandonment
feeling
issues.
abandoned, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, then again, her world did just blow up. So you know what? Give her some slack, would you? All right. Han and Chewie then enter, and Han tells Luke that Princess managed to keep him here instead of settling up with Jabba the Hutt. Now let's point out that Hutt is still incorrectly spelled H-U-T, where it should be H-U-T-T. You think at this point someone would have been in there editing the script. Now, I gotta go look at some of these early Empire scripts to see if Hutt was spelled with one T. Maybe it's not Marvel's fault after all.
Interesting.
Okay, some investigating needs to be done.
So it sounds like that could happen. I mean, some of the creatures that we've played don't get names until, the movie comes out or Pablo writes a book,
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Leia gets back at Han by giving her brother a kiss as 3PO just sits back and watches. 3PO, 3PO, do your thing. Get in there.
What's he doing? Look at that. Now, I do love, this is almost an exact screen grab from the film. Han's like kind of sitting back, his arms crossed, looking at, you almost expect him to glance over at 3PO there. Or Chewie. Where's Chewie? Chewie's usually there.
Chewie's off screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it's funny in the film, 3PO is looking at Luke and Leia, looking at Han, looking at Luke and Leia, like, hey, are you catching this? Maybe 3PO knows. Wait a minute. 3PO was there when Luke and Leia were being born in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, but his mind was wiped, wasn't it?
Oh, that's very true.
Yeah.
Okay, you got a point there.
R2's not.
Okay.
But his was, right?
Okay. Well, R2, step in there.
That's super weird.
All right. We then cut to the Imperial fleet above Hoth.
Look at that.
And this scene has been cut where Admiral Ozzel and Captain Piet alert Vader that they have discovered a shield generator from a probe droid. But here, the scene cuts right in where Vader is angered that the fleet came out of light speed too close to Hoth. So now the rebels know they're there. Vader then chokes General Veers, who looks a lot like Captain Nita in this panel.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah, it's like they got him confused.
Yeah, they got a lot of things confused here. And
the artist got him confused.
Well, I think it was more Archie Goodwin who got Piet and Ozzel mixed up.
Right.
Oh, right.
Yes, because they flip dialogue.
Yeah, because it looks like Piet here is choking in this middle panel.
Yeah.
But it should be Ozzel right there. Yeah.
Right, yes.
Now, and Ozzel is looking on, but Vader is calling him Piet.
Right.
So maybe everyone's like, okay, I know Vader's getting our names wrong, but just run with it. Do you want to correct Darth Vader?
No.
I know I don't.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. Just slowly start. I must say that there was frame before this with the ships in space. It's such an 80s iconic image of these round little dots representing planets with the huge, that's it right there. I can't remember how many cartoon type things that I've seen as a kid, whether it was Space Ghost or whether it was something else, but that was the look and feel of space, and with some
colors, planets and moons.
Yeah. Nothing had
sizes.
Nothing had to be correct. It's a galaxy somewhere else. It just works so well. But that just reminds me so much of childhood animation.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's beautiful.
All right, now we cut to an establishing panel of Echo Base, and several troops are rushing to their speeders, and several troopers are in speeders, and one on a tauntaun look up at something that looks like a large ship in the sky.
Are you talking about this panel down
Yeah,
there?
they're
okay.
So you see the troops all looking at, there's something in the sky. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like a white Jabba sail barge.
It does. That's weird.
Yeah.
Well, it just looks like that's just part of the
The ice cavern?
Yeah, the ice. The ice, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure
I
what
don't
that
know.
what that is.
But then we see this like juxtaposed on top of this establishing shot is kind of a close up of Leia in silhouette in front of one of those boards, the light boards that they
Right.
use for battle and stuff.
That's an incredible shot.
I agree.
And what kind of shape is Leia in?
She's in a hexagon.
Oh, so already we're seeing the Marvel crossovers. You know how much
Yeah.
Marvel loves their hexagons.
Yeah.
Really?
That's yeah,
I know.
hexagon. Yeah.
Yeah, if you watch a lot of the Disney Plus series,
Yeah.
everything's based in a hexagon.
Yeah. And like the Guardians of the Galaxy, that's how they go through wormholes in space, is like they use these hexagons. I don't know.
And I'm sure there was a motif back in the Marvel Comics days.
But yeah, I agree with Dee that this is a beautiful hexagon like shape with
Isn't it
Leia.
like a Kubrick shot? That
Yeah.
makes me want to say Kubrick. But it could easily be an actual photograph that they've just colored that way. It just
Actually, it is. A lot of what you're seeing here are publicity shots that they've illustrated into this comic. So what you're looking at is an actual publicity shot of Princess Leia for The Empire Strikes Back.
Wow.
With that same dramatic lighting.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool bit.
That's why we have you on the show, Dee.
It's an incredible shot, and it doesn't look out of place with everything that's going on. Everything here just works. It doesn't matter about the colors; it just works.
Yeah, and Leia's all bathed in red because right now she is giving the evacuation orders to the pilots, and as she finishes, she happens to walk past the Millennium Falcon where Han and Chewie are working, and this is the same scene we see in the film where something goes wrong and Han yells to Chewie, "Turn it off, turn it off." Only in the film Leia wasn't walking by. So they're mashing up scenes in this adaptation because you can't really fit a 2-hour plus film in an adaptation to be like a 30-issue series.
Right. And then at the bottom of this page, there's a panel with, I know, the back of a Star Destroyer. Would that be the Super Star Destroyer?
That would be the Avenger Star Destroyer. That's not the Executor.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, because they're on patrol above Hoth's glistening white surface. And I think this is a really beautiful panel because Hoth is like in the distance, framing the Star Destroyer against space.
And it's stark white. Not there's like a couple of
the planet is stark white.
Yeah. It's like one solid white mass.
Yeah. It's really cool. And this is where he says, "Good, our first catch of the day." Who says that in the movie? Is it Piet or is it
no, that's just a random officer.
guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next, the ion cannon blasts the Star Destroyer out of the sky as rebel ships make it to safety. Look at that panel. Boom. Now in the movie, they just shot it with the ion cannon, so it didn't blow the Star Destroyer up.
No,
it just knocked out all its energy source, which caused it to plummet. Right now, it's blasting the heck out of this thing. And inside of Echo Base, Luke says his goodbye to Han and Chewie, and says, "Han, I hope you make your peace with Jabba, even if it does throw half the galaxy's bounty hunters out of work." So Luke is he's sympathizing with the bounty hunters.
Yeah, that's making a joke, I think.
No, I think he's sympathizing.
A compliment, you know. He wants to say that they're BFFs, but it's too soon.
Yeah.
Right. He's still getting over Biggs.
All right. Now the scene keeps going. Well, hold on a sec. Let me just double check.
Okay.
Well, okay. Yeah, but give me a second. Oh.
We're not.
Are we here yet or no?
No.
What? Yeah, but okay, so my notes is for that dialogue box. So if we're not there yet, I'll move my notes down.
Oh. So go ahead.
Well, okay. Sorry. Where are we pausing it? Are we pausing it now to do the
No. Okay. Just run with it here, okay?
Okay.
All right. So now an announcement is made for all pilots to their speeders, and we see a nice color scheme where green borders the lavender snow speeders in the foreground, and R2 and 3PO say their farewell as Luke climbs into his snow speeder with Dak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so cute. And then R2 and 3PO say their farewell to each other as well because they're being separated.
Mhm.
R2 is going to be waiting for Luke in his
X-Wing.
X-Wing, thank you. And I guess 3PO at this point, he was just going to evacuate with the rest of the
Yes. Well, because Luke
people.
needed R2 to fly to Dagobah.
Right. Okay. Now, this is where this particular panel here at the bottom left with R2 and 3PO is where I wonder what dialogue is taken from the script versus what the Marvel comics people added to flesh out scenes and explain things that you can show in a film, but you can't really show in a comic. You have to narrate. So, like 3PO saying goodbye to R2, and in the movie, it's boiled down to complete basics. C3PO says, "You watch out for Master Luke and do take care of yourself." That's all he says.
Yeah.
But in the comic here,
Oh, that was a very good Anthony Daniels impersonation.
no, it's not. Now, in the comic here, he says, "Why is it when things seem to get settled, everything falls apart? Take good care of Master Luke when he joins you at his fighter, and take good care of yourself too." So it was like kind of narrating what R2 is going to be doing.
Mhm.
They just shortened that down.
Yeah, for movies, everything's very short.
And all this was really something that fans really had a hard time grasping because you had this tight-knit group of heroes in Star Wars, and now you're separating them all. To separate R2 and 3PO? What are you doing? You can't do that. To separate Luke from Han and Leia and Chewie, like, what's going on here? So this, I think, added to the darkness of the film.
Yeah.
Because you don't separate friends like this.
And the tension, immediately the tension.
Yeah.
You know when they're all together, it's just like, they've got a chance, But when they start splitting up, it's like, oh, well, what drama are they getting into? And then it's like, oh, what is he dealing with? So when are they going to get back together? It just constantly eats at you and waiting for them to finally get back together.
Right. And we don't know when that's going to be.
Mm-mm.
Now, before we get into the Great Battle of Hoth, let's pause for a commercial break. So this is where we're going to do the Hostess crossover ad. So do you want to do the part of the torch, Dee?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And what's his name? Is it the bad guy?
I want to say it's Fry Zone. It looks like it should be free. It should be Free Zone.
Oh.
But looks like it's spelled Fry Zone. So
Well, does he freeze stuff?
He freezes stuff.
Well, then we'll
call him Free Zone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up.
All right.
Okay. This commercial break is brought to us by Hostess Fruit Pies with the Marvel Hostess story, The Human Torch Saves the Valley.
All right.
So Sarah, you read the narration.
Got it.
And Dee, you'll be the Human Torch, and I'll be the evil Free Zone.
Hang on, I need to bring up the print. I need to bring up. I've got to exit this page. I don't know how to do that. It's some big.
Do you want me to make it bigger here? Can you see it on the screen?
Well, I sent him the script.
Oh, okay.
That way it's always broken down.
Got it.
Yeah, I can do that.
Well, do you have the script that I sent you?
Here.
It was in an
email.
email.
Let me just make it bigger. I'll just make it bigger.
A little bit smaller. Oh, that'll do.
Yeah, you got it? That looks good here too, so everyone can see.
Okay.
All right, so hold on.
Right there.
Okay, ready?
And action.
We open with two frightened farmers.
Scroll up, right?
What's that?
Oh, sorry, scroll down.
Well, no, if you look at the screen right now, can you just read what he's saying?
Or do you have the second email I sent you has got the script in it?
I've lost you.
Oh. Can you hear us? We can still see you.
Can you see us?
Just make sure you're, yeah. See. Can you see us now? Oh, can you hear
Can you hear
us?
us? Testing, testing, testing.
Can anyone else hear us? If you're watching, can you see us? We're still broadcasting.
All right.
I don't know what to do. Dee, are you on a computer? Can you hear us?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear us? Hello, we should still be there. Oh, uh-oh.
What?
Oh, no. Add to stream. Why is he two?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? No? Here, hold on. Can you hear us, Dee? Uh-oh. Hello, hello?
Okay, Reynolds says he can hear us.
Dum, 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 dum.
Can you hear us? Now you're there twice. Can you go around to a different tab? Uh-oh. Okay.
Shall I
No,
exit
no, no,
and try
no.
again?
Do not. Do not do that. What I can do is end this broadcast just so our recording is saved. And then we'll try to do we'll start another one. Yeah, don't leave.
But can Dee hear this? Dee, can you hear this? See, I don't think he can hear us.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure that all of that recordings is saved. So stay there. Here, yeah, okay. Just stay. Don't tell him not to leave the studio. Okay, I'm going to end the broadcast, you guys. I don't know what's happening, but we'll start a new one. Okay.